So I asked this to a couple groups just to kind of have them know. Can you show me what you're doing? Great. Stay right there for me. Do you feel your right inner thigh?
Yes.
Do you feel your right outer hip a little?
Yes.
Great. You can relax for me. So again, the goal of this is to create access to muscles that she wouldn't do if she were doing stuff too stiff. By the time they get here, those are transition muscles, deep adductors. She's going to get inferior fibers of glute. She's going to get some lat or hip glute med. Things like that are going to turn on. Some people even know it's like, oh my gosh, my glute on my backside. Yeah, absolutely, because now that muscle on the back is helping to rotate and coordinate the control of the pelvis on that side. Can you appreciate, probably you saw it with some of the people you worked with, that it's really easy to cheat with these? And I was real particular with some of the cues I gave Teresa, and like I did with each of the groups as well too, to take away some of the cheats. It should be hard. Here's what stinks. If you're working with a group, it's going to be hard to call them all out. If you're working with a client that comes in and works on their own, and you teach them and you give them all the cues, you're going to see them doing stuff. It's normal. What I would encourage you to do is this, is just do the best you can to give them as much stuff as you feel they can handle. You know what I mean? Like, what are the primary things I can give someone to do to allow them to be successful? I coached youth sports for a while. Throw the ball in, tell them one thing, let them go, and then add stuff. Okay? So figure out what makes the most sense to allow them to be successful moving into it. Number two, watch for the subtle stuff. There was somebody that was doing it and she just felt a lot of strain everywhere. And I'm like, just relax your hand a little bit. Make sure you're moving your air at the same time. Just kind of take away some of the stuff to allow their body to move into these positions. I call it like mobility stuff or warm-up stuff. I don't know what to call some of these things. Because if I say mobility, people are like, yeah, mobility, that means movement. It means a lot of it. It's restoring mobility that's under control is really what it's about. Mobility in my mind is not about go big or go home. It can be when you need to. But like I said before, I want to bring everything in for control first and then allow the body to then move out of it. Sue was a good example of someone who, because of that, we talked about different rib cage positions, someone was asking us a good question. We want to get more space, don't we? And because she was limited in her ability to be able to do it. I said, we do, but do me a favor, go through it 5 times. Just like we coached you through it. And then little by little, things start to open up a little bit because we're creating the rotation and the turn. But they have to kind of like stick it out a little bit. So we wanted to open some stuff up with her. And with Teresa, we had to take some things away from her to bring her better in. And that just comes with reps and time and kind of looking at a bunch of different bodies. I'm fortunate because I spend one-on-one with all my clients. Okay, and I know that some of you do as well too. So I'm able to take the time to be able to do this and really, I'm just all there, which is great. And even though you may not have that opportunity, find opportunities where you can. You know what I mean? Smaller groups that come in, you got 2 or 3 people, you can be a little bit more specific. Hey, we're going to do a little bit of a new warm-up today. Things like that, just to allow you to get better at being able to do it, and or spending time when you're doing one-on-one stuff with people, say, okay, I've seen that before and it looked like this. What do I do to allow it to be able to take something away from them that they're doing to allow their body to be more successful with less cheats? Okay? The question of scope of practice came up, which was a great question because I showed kind of touching the hand here or something like that. For performance coaches, personal trainers, in my mind, if you're not trying to manage a diagnosis of some kind and you're addressing stuff that you saw were necessary for your findings from your assessments, then that's what you're doing. So I think that it's going to be just fine. If they happen to have back pain at the same time, but you're doing it saying, I'm just addressing my deficiencies that I saw or my limitations that I saw, I really think it's not outside of your scope of practice at all. But if you're like, oh, I'm trying to fix their back issue, that might be a different scenario. So it's kind of how you present it to them. Make sense? Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some split squats. Okay, just think about some different things related to that. Would that helpful? Okay. So let me talk first about just holding, let's just say a kettlebell, okay? Just built on some of the concepts we talked about before. And stuff to take into consideration with this. cat from this morning. Remember I said, everything suddenly changed in her body when she did this. She's going to get better expansion back in this position. Is this how you hold it? Since there's about 15 different ways?
I think so. It's like hard to
Some people do this.
Sometimes I do that.
Some people do
I
this.
don't do it that way.
This.
That way
Okay.
or, yeah.
That was actually pretty fun. I can do that again. Okay. Okay. Compression on the front, expansion on the back. Can you see my back open up when I breathe? Rack position. Compression on the front, expansion on the other side. Can you appreciate that? Compression on the front of the right, compression on the back on the left. Watch my back right. Do you see expansion there? Left side rack. If they're in a pretty good place, it would be the opposite. Compression on the front left, expansion on the front right. And hopefully there's the same on the back where you have left posterior, not as much right. Great. Can you see that? Just different ways to think about what's happening when they hold stuff. Okay? So you got that person who looks crooked, who have rib imbalances. Do I bias the hand that they hold it in? You bet I do. Do I have them do 2 sets of something on one side and 1 on the other? Yes, I do. Because I'm trying to make them perfect? No. But I'm just trying to get things maybe a little more balanced and work them out at the same time. Do I want to get them to a point that then I'm doing most everything they're doing bilateral, meaning they're doing it on one side, then they do it on the other side? Yeah, that'd be goal. What I talked about earlier with some people was kind of like the side plank. I'm like, some people, like with Teresa, we brought her up and back. We really exaggerated that in her brain. I'd want to have her get to a point where she's like, she doesn't have to do it as exaggerated. Doing these things here with her, we got to keep things really tight and really in and have really guide it. I want to have her get to a point like, okay, now we've got ranges we can explore with control. So things are a progression over time with stuff. But sometimes with some of your clients, you just got to kind of start them with baby steps and really kind of manage things in a better position that way. So keep in mind, when they hold things, that how they hold it and where they hold it can make a big difference. Concept number 2 as it comes to that. People don't like to grab stuff. You ever notice that? When they're grabbing a pulley machine, they go to push on a pulley. How many times do they see their hands open? Yeah, I mean, do you see the times that they kind of like they go and they do this with their hand open? You with me? How many times when you see swings or grabs from underneath, it's like a finger hang? Is this making sense? Do you see this sometimes? Yes, you do. It's a cheat. It's a compensation. If I'm in this position with my fingers like this and not holding and grasping like this, I've allowed a cheat, which is expansive. I created an outlet compared to, you can even hear it, correct? I've created a cheat. Yeah, you want me to hold? I got this thing all day long. Versus, whoa, a little harder. With me? So I'm not talking about grip it till the cows come home, but don't let them cheat. If they're doing a push-pull, if they're doing a grasp, if they're holding a weight, I tell them, grab the weight, because I want to take that compensation away. Because you'll see hands and wrists and stuff like that do all types of funky things, and it's an outlet, and it can be a really big one in terms of what they're going to get. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like every single time I kind of do that, I'm doing the split squats in this position. I don't know. I feel it. I don't know. I feel it in my neck. Well, yeah, because you lost some of what you're going after by just changing what happened right there. Play with it on your own. You'll feel what I talk about. And you'll help. Again, the reason I say play with it on your own is it's going to help with all your cueing when you work with people. That's another big deal, okay? Does how you hold the kettlebell matter, for example, for things like split squats or things like that? I think it does, and I'll vary it. And if I've got someone who's a wider, more compressed person this way, To me, I'm not going to have him do this. I'm just going to have him do it this way. Because now I can just bring it in a little bit. Same weight, same load, same exercise, just change the hold a little bit. Create a shape change. If I see someone who's, a little tighter, okay, with that structure, nothing wrong with that. I want there to be a little more of an outlet for her. I'd be more likely to hold a one-handed position for her. Because I think that's going to allow turn and expansion in other positions a little more successfully. I'd play with it a little bit, see what she likes better, see what looks better, you know what I mean? See what looks like is better controlled. But kind of just think about selection sometimes about what you have them hold and where versus one size fits all, okay? That help? Okay. Split squats. Who's going to be my demo? I catch my eye on you, Sage. Come on, Sage. No, not me. No. Okay, so I'm going to pick on you. You know that, right?
I know. I'm ready.
Okay, do you do rack position?
Yes.
Okay, so can you show me rack position split squat?
This way or this way?
Face me, if you would, please, so they can see from the side would be awesome. Great. Awesome. What do you see right from the get-go? Number two. Number two.
He whispered in my ear to do that. I told him.
But is that normal for you to do that, right?
Well, it is, yeah.
Yeah. Great. And do me a favor. Open your hand again. Great. Do 3. Make a note of what you feel working and where. Just make a mental note. Great. One more. Great. Secure it. Bring it in. Great. Do it again for me, please. Different.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't feel as much here.
Correct. And more stuff kind of controlled in the middle. Great. Awesome. Relax for a second. So that's, with my sessions, that's part of what I do. Did she just get almost a full set, even though I let the first few be like this? You bet. But I let her feel and learn. Feel and learn something at the same time. Okay? Okay. So feel free to use your other side. Is this too weight? Is this okay for you weight-wise? I just wanted to double check,
No, it's good.
Sorry if it's too small for you is what I should say. Okay, so let's do the opposite side. All right, so I'm going to go through a couple things. So these are your training shoes?
No, God, no. They're my look good shoes.
All right, go ahead and look good doing the split squat for me. I'm going to look at a couple things.
First
So
of all, I have my fingers.
I noticed that was fabulous. So she's doing a couple good things. She's offsetting her balance with her arm out to the side. She's taking a large step to the back, okay?
You're going to sandwich this.
I'm totally going to sandwich
She's doing
this.
good.
Reel them in, right? Reel them in, then beat them down. Okay. Really good
It's
job.
just my job.
It's
It's
just
not
my.
a deal.
Okay. So as you go down, when you do this, this is totally fine. But I want to have you reach it down to your side more.
Okay.
Not out quite so much. Reach it down to your side more and take a smaller step. I'm not even going to say how much, but just a smaller step.
A lot to take in.
I know. Just down and then just a smaller step. Good. Do that a few times for me, please. Good. Make a note of your right hip. And you feel your right hip, kind of adductor, glute muscles working.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm popping more than you.
Yeah, exactly. Different, right?
Yeah.
Okay, more stuff going on.
Yeah.
Okay. So a larger step is, I say compensation. If it's a bad thing, don't read into that. It's just a way to create more sense of stability because, like, I've created a bigger triangle. You with me? So you're going to get down and up with more quads and less of those muscles that we had you just doing in that half kneeling position. You with me? That's why I said you feel kind of more of like this stuff working, a little more underneath, because now when she steps back in this position with a smaller step, whoa, holy cow, we've taken that pelvis, brought it in a little bit, gained a little more packaged control so that she's going to access those deeper muscles a little bit better. Okay? Was what she did before wrong? No, absolutely not.
Well, this was.
That was not ideal. That was, okay? With me. Okay. So if she were to do it with a weight down, let's say with a dumbbell, and how do you typically, do you do split squats any particular way? Just all over the place?
All over.
Okay. Hold it in one hand, pick a side, any side. And now put your left foot forward, right foot back. Great. And from this fixed position, I'm going to have you go down and up for me, please. So what she's doing on this side is because of where the weight is, it's turning her towards that side. Can you feel load into that left side? Mm-hmm. Great. Switch hands and stay in the same position. This will load her back leg more. Mm-hmm. Okay? It's just turning her in the other direction. What are you looking for? What are you looking for? Yeah, they're both good. If I got someone who has poor ability to kind of manage this movement, I'm going to have that offset position on this side pretty exclusively. If I got someone who's looking to get bigger, build some quad strength, gain some control and stability, things like that, I have them do that opposite side. Just know that they're going to be done just a little bit differently versus just which hand it's in. Do you do like carries or anything like that too? Single arm, double arm, farmer, suitcase, both? Okay. Okay, so show me a suitcase on your, with the weight in your left hand, please. My apologies. Great. And then go ahead and, I know it's really light, my apologies. Super light, super light. Just head that way towards the wall on the back for me, please. And just make a note of what you feel working in your body as you do that. Great. And then switch hands. And do the same thing coming back for me, please. Yeah, great. Go ahead and put the weight down for me, please. She said my lat, okay? Go back to your left hand. And this time what I want to have you do as you do it is I want to have you think about swinging, not flailing, swinging your opposite side.
Swinging my right hand.
Yep, please.
So am I supposed to be going faster in my walk then?
It's up to you. Go fast. Yeah, go faster, please. Go faster. Yeah. Good. And then keep that same side coming back.
It's so weird because
I understand. Delta to the right. Delta on the left. Okay, great. And then bring it back down for me, please. Switch hands for me, please. And then go ahead and do the same thing on the opposite side. Swing the left arm. Okay, make a note of your pelvic muscles.
they're there.
Kind of something's working, right?
It's all over.
It's all upper, nothing down below. Okay, good. And then down for me, please. So as a general rule, let me think about how to cue you differently.
Are you talking glutes or what are you going for? Oh, just all there? I'll try it again.
Try it one more time. Don't be stiff.
Okay.
Just hold the weight. That's what I
Okay.
probably should have said.
Don't be stiff.
Don't be stiff, just hold the weight. Yep. And then swing the arm. Thank you. Yep. There you go. Different?
Yeah.
What's different?
Maybe it's because I was thinking about it,
Yeah.
but it felt tighter here.
Yeah. Okay,
But
perfect.
I
Yep.
think that's because I was also
Yep.
paying more attention to up here
Yep.
before.
Yeah, so I'm not trying to have it traction her. Does this make sense? But I don't want to have her rigid in the hold. In my mind, a carry is about getting all those, thank you, Peter, all those muscles activated. The heavier it goes, the less the swing. They're not going to be able to swing much. But if they're too stiff, which is not a problem, it's not wrong necessarily, then you're not allowing the body to get a little bit of that relative motion. So same thing, swinging, coming back. There you go, yeah. Like transition, like your feet are moving around and stuff like that.
More fluid.
Fluid, perfect word, thank you. Awesome, thanks very much, Sage. Yeah, you're good, thank you very much. Did that make sense? Initially, a lot of rigidity and a lot of stiffness. And if that's what you want, if that's what you're going for, if you're having a heavy day, they're doing more PR-based stuff, that's great. You're getting that stiffness. Remember, we talked about stability. What are you looking for? What's the context? But if you got many of your clients, and many, well, who knows? Half your clients are probably like, yeah, we're not maxing you probably ever, right? They need to learn to get control and find these little muscles and get some access to them to be able to create that turn, that flow that we were talking about. That allows them to be able to get there a little bit easier. Plus, it's working on balance, like we talked about this morning, because they're not thinking stiffness and rigidity. They're getting these muscles. If I asked her to feel it again, she'd be like, oh yeah, holy cow, I'm pronating and supinating like crazy through my feet, because her feet have to be to offset. It's called gait. You with me? Okay. Similar with things such as squats. And hey, Peter, where is those ramps? Heels, heel elevated. Okay. So, can you stand there, face that way? So we saw with Sue before. Is this helpful to go through this stuff? Okay. So, can you just feet comfortable distance apart? If you were to, you train on your own, do you do squats? Do you do?
Squats.
Great. And do you do kettlebell, dumbbell, barbell?
I do kettlebell.
Kettlebell. What size roughly do you use?
25. And
Okay. So, show me 3 squats, please, if you would.
now I usually go wider, so because that's
Is
how
that-
I compensate. I usually go wider because that's how
Go
I
ahead.
compensate.
Go ahead. Yeah, show me
I'll
what
go
show me
wider.
what you do. Absolutely.
Okay.
Great. Show me what you do. Okay. And make a note of what you feel working and where. Look at her left hand. Quick, before she changes it. Oh. All those people that looked at me blankly going, what the hell is he talking about? Well, I think it's pretty obvious.
Oh, that feels better.
Oh, that feels better. Relax for me, please. All right, you're all done. That's all you need to learn. Grip the damn weights, will you please? All right, that's it.
She did it for me, so I would feel better.
She did, exactly. Oh, you $20 too, obviously. Great. Felt the difference, though, with that, right?
I did,
Okay.
definitely.
How did that squat feel, by the way?
It still feels very limited.
Okay.
I'm a little bit better than I was before because we did some of this.
Yeah.
But it's still, I feel like I hit a brick wall.
Okay, so go ahead and hold it like you're supposed to. Thank you so much. Go ahead and put your heels up on that block. Okay. And as you go down, which you'll be able to go deeper,
Yep.
I want to have you just perceive what you feel working and where, what parts of your body are working.
Glutes and abs.
Okay. Do you feel these working? And you can say
Yeah,
no.
yeah, definitely.
And do you feel those? I'm going to take it from you now. Great, just for us, because I don't want to wipe you out. Because I'm going to do this a
yep.
few more times. Now that I brought them to your attention,
Yep.
could you feel what I mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So, glutes are accessible, and she's like, yes, glutes. That's why I love to raise my heels. That's awesome. I do want that. But again, like I mentioned, I do want to bring to attention to her what she normally uses, which is a lot of VL. Does that make sense? I keep saying VL. Everybody know what I mean? Vastus lateralis. These are not just extenders bringing her up. I was talking to Cheryl about this earlier. Because of the fiber change that can change with muscles, guess what happens? They begin to turn bones, literally. So as she extends and she's in this position now that she can go forward and out more, they're turning her femurs, trying to IR her femurs in this position. That's why they're active. Okay.
Yep.
So make believe you feel these muscles lowering you and lifting you as you go ahead and do the same exercise, okay? In particular, from down to up. Yes, do that for me. Not as sturdy, right?
Right, not as sturdy, but it definitely, I almost feel like I still get more of a range of motion though.
You do, definitely. And do you feel interline muscles?
Yes.
Okay, we'll do 2 more, please. A little less VL.
Much less.
Okay, and a lot more, not more, but still glute working.
Still glute, for
Great.
sure.
So I didn't give her a ball, I didn't do anything, I just took too much rotation out that the VLs were like, I've got to prevent you from going out anymore, so they're trying to IR the femurs and said, well, let's just get some of these IR adductor muscles turned on. So I just kind of graphically, sorry, it's on camera, hey, sorry, graphically, going after these muscles to say, in particular, as she transitions from down to up as well, they'll lose it. That's why you see your clients, when they come down, they lift with their back. They don't get into the hole and then push from underneath properly. You with me? It's the same idea as what she just got there. That's why her knees were a little bit more wobbly. She's like, whoa, holy cow, my stable base of control, I sacrificed a little bit for that. So for her, she'd be a good example of if she's doing 5 sets, I'd do the first 2 like that. Little lighter weight, cue that inner line, get it activated, get her access to it, and if she wants to go heavier for those last couple sets, go for it. Ignore it. Just do your thing. Maybe not forget about them completely, just know they're there. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to have people overanalyze. But to that point, when they get access, then like, oh, that actually feels better. Geez, it just feels like I have more control down there. It feels like things are in a better place. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I feel like it gave me more openness.
Oh, that was perfect words. Holy cow. That's definitely worth $20. You can step off. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Sue.
Can she try the first test
Wait.
again, the squat test?
Yes, great question. Okay, so then let me do one other thing. Thank you very much for asking that. I see your side. I see that. Okay, go back to the. Thank you. You can do this. Inhale one more time, and then come back up for me.
Okay, I'll just go as far as I can go,
Yeah.
right?
Exhale to slow down. Inhale a little lower. And then exhale and press up. One more time. Exhale as you lower. Inhale as you go a little further. Exhale, push up. Awesome. Rest for a sec. A lot of muscles.
Yeah, I didn't think I could ever get down that low even with that. Yep.
Really good. A lot deeper, right? Okay. Manipulated her internal pressures. See what it looks like without that lift now.
Do the same breathing?
However you want. It's a great
Okay.
question. It's
I'm
deep.
gonna go right
Here's what I'm going to
first.
say. Think you can go deeper than you normally do.
Okay,
Yeah.
that is better.
That. Great. Great.
I'm
Great.
gonna try breathing, yeah. So I exhale first.
Yeah. Great. It's okay.
Yeah.
A little better?
On your first round, your right foot heel came off the ground a bunch of times, and then right there, your feet were totally grounded.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Saw it. Didn't want to get into it. You're awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Seriously. No, seriously. I don't feel like I'm too OCD, but I know her really well. She's OCD with that stuff like me. So I wanted to manipulate the pressures first. I just was showing her accessing muscles. Thank you, Wendy, very much. I really appreciate that, seriously. But that's what I'd have them do to manipulate the pressure changes because that's what's happening internally. So then suddenly she accesses it better right away, and then suddenly she's able to get better grounding right away by doing things that way. Now, did you have to remember that exact way that she did it? No, just play with it a little bit. As a general rule, remember this initial part right here is more ER, right? What did I have her do? The opposite. Remember this is more IR, right? What did I have her do? The opposite. Am I making sense? The next part was, and then just stay there for a breath or two to get it to open, and then press up.
So when you have her, think of her inner thighs or adductors, her sacrum actually went.
Kind of rotated a little bit,
Yeah.
tucked underneath.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Great. Now again, same idea. What are your goals? So I'm going to go back to the title of this, Integrative Rehab Training. Those are the people that I see. When people are at higher end stuff, they're doing more max lifting, I send them to Pete. Because Pete will take the concepts and build on them. And I'm not going to get as much into the weeds with them because their needs when they're seeing me is different because now they're like, great, I've moved them on to somebody else. Does that make sense, the difference? Because I don't need everything to be about alternation and everything to be about this perfect position all the time. I just want to get them strong. That's the goal. Some people stay with me because they just like that type of a workout. They just feel good. Their goals are, I just want to feel good and feel like I'm getting strong and do stuff. Other people I see some degree of regularity and they're doing things on their own, applying concepts and principles, and then I update it, progress it. Man, does it make sense? So there's different ways to kind of go about that model, if you would. I think I addressed most of the questions I think I remembered. Does anybody have any particular questions that I missed from what they wrote down? Okay. Number 2, does anybody have any particular questions based upon what we just talked about?
Breathing in typically paired with external rotation, is that what you said?
It's easier.
Yeah.
They
okay.
kind
So
of go
you're
together.
Facilitating a greater movement with that same breath.
Yep. So I just was kind of almost reversing it with her to offset it.
All right, that's where I got a little confused.
Yeah.
Okay, so sometimes maybe
Would be more natural than moving through that restriction area.
just another angle to challenge it to improve it.
Because I want to open. So I go to a position where she's going to be more closed and open her through that area. Create the space to open her into that range of motion. Give her a compensation. Give her a little cheat to allow her to be successful with it. Okay?
Michael, do you assess the gait prior to having, like, with, say you had her,
Absolutely.
because I know constrictions on the TM, they won't swing one arm, it'll be more
Correct.
restricted, so
Correct.
has she already been, like, assessed for that prior?
Yeah, so that, thank you. Thank you very much. No, absolutely. So I look at gait all the time. I look at gait in the airport. I look at gait in the grocery store. I'm a creep because it's fascinating. I'm glad I have not been slugged by some husband saying, what the hell are you doing looking at my wife like that? That's how I learn, right? Okay. Common things. Thank you. Number 1, alternation, if you would, is the ability of a body to be able to do movement through the system like a spiral on one side and the other side. That is alternation. I talked this morning about walking and stiff terrains and people not doing stuff and staring at the ground and losing that ability for the body to wobble and move, losing alternation capabilities, losing the ability of the outsides to move around the insides. Does it make sense? To allow the temporomandibular joint, honestly, to wobble from side to side. I didn't bring my skull model, but I like to demonstrate to people. I just whack the head just a little bit. You saw it. And the mandible falls right off because that's what it does. It hangs there because it's supposed to be able to wobble, which allows a TM, temporal bones, and where the mandible attaches, it not attaches, but kind of seats in there to do this. It's also called chewing. And I'm not being weird with you. But it should be free to move around when we walk. So I can do this, hi, and not have to compensate through some part of my body by leaning, by twisting, by turning, because my system can coil and rotate without compensation. Oh, and can I do it and move air without cheating? Okay? Can I do it with the tongue on the roof of my mouth, breathing in and out of my nose, blah, blah, blah. I mean, like the list of things to make it ideal is kind of long, but in a good way. Here's what you'll often see. Number 1, arms swing back. What direction are my arms swinging? Backwards. I joke with people like you're walking backwards. Because if a body's going forward, like I showed you with a lot of those positions, if my arms swing forward and I don't know how to control my center of mass, because they didn't do this as an activity and this as an activity, am I tying it together okay? And this as an activity to reshift the position so they can then allow their arms to swing freely so that they go forward to go from one side to the other and not hold them back and feed into an extended position. You with me? That's one thing I see. Number 2, one arm swings and the other does not. Watch people around the back bay. It's like a petri dish. It's kind of funny. And many times it's the right arm that doesn't swing. Fair to say? Yeah, fair to say. Number 3, a fake arm swing on the right. Why would you do that? Oh, wait a minute. Let's go back to this morning. because it just anchors them. It feels more secure. It feels more stable, blah, 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 blah. They breathe easier because the system's just following the procession. Can you see the whole running around the track thing that I talked about now a little better? And why, if we do this so much, it wouldn't happen as well. Okay? I'll see no arm swing. That's trouble. Okay? That's trouble. Nothing moves. You ever see that Seinfeld episode? Anybody a Seinfeld fan? I mean, you ever see her? Her arms doesn't swing. It's the weirdest thing. So arms are supposed to swing because of what I talked about, fancy word alternation, but they allow the transfer of the weight through the whole system. And I'm joking with you, but I'm not joking with you, so that you can walk and look down the road and glance at the ground and look down the road and turn, hi neighbor, and just take in the environment and move more fluidly. That's what's supposed to happen. Can you do it with your mouth closed, breathing in and out of your nose will help. Can you do it looking down the street and watching things pass by you? Again, optic flow, it's in the books, it's all over the place. Seeing things pass by you so your body perceives how to move more effectively. Does that make sense? Yeah.
So George Jefferson was way too open when he walked?
Wheezy!
Yeah.
Yeah, well, exactly right. But they demonstrate something if you really think about what they are now, right? Because when we do that, they toddle. Because they can't turn through a system. All good. Michael, you're done.
That was supposed to be my alarm to wake up this morning.
Oh! You drove a long way. Thank you, Kimberly. You drove a long way. You with me? So can they do it? And so there's that was on the phone, 2 days ago. A woman, every now, she's like, I have the hardest time sometimes doing it. I'm good for a while, and then I said, weave, and then do me a favor, and then walk backwards. Just kind of look down the road, great. Just walk backwards. Just walk backwards. Just let it all come back. A little bit. Bring it back in like you carried something, and that'll help to reset her body so she can continue to be active. Feel safe, obviously, but the goal is, can we get that to be able to take place safely? There's no real backwards. I mean, it's a label, okay? Just to be clear. I'm going backwards, but I have to push forward to go backwards, okay? The only backwards is falling. That's why I want her to do this. It's because she's getting a push-pull, push-pull, push, to bring things back to a place where she can control it better. So hopefully then she can kind of walk a little bit more comfortably. Okay? So sprinting, for example, when they're down in the starting blocks. They're here, they got the finger, they got the whole thing. I'm taking gait to the next level, okay? Where do they look? Down. How internally oriented am I? A lot. You with me? So as I come up, where do they look? Down, initially. Because they're creating that propulsion into the ground to allow their system to get to that point that then they can get up and manage it upright. The ones that lose are the ones that get up too early. I'm not trying to be weird.
That's my middle schoolers.
That's your middle schoolers. Yep. Where am I going? Where am I going? Yep. Correct.
I tried to explain that to them as keeping your head down because it's a slow progression up.
Yeah.
And they're like, huh?
Yeah. It's this, and that's stability and propulsion until they've churned it all, and now they've got control of it to be able to then manage it. It's the same thing with sports. And that's why I showed you those mobility things early on, to say, can we get these things to come in so you can then go lift heavy weights or do your class or do whatever it is you're doing, but create a little bit of control of that rotational element that I feel is important for people to do it successfully with less compensation. One or two other things. Number one, I have learned over the years, so I had my own business now, so nobody's doing my annual review. No one's calling me out on stuff. Many of you in here are kind of independently employed or independent contractors, and so what I was going to say is just it's really important to do a self-check on ourselves every now and then, okay? Our employers sometimes call out our weaknesses and shortcomings, and do you guys know Brett Bartholomew, by the way? So there's a book back there called Conscious Coaching. It's a really fabulous book. If you want to learn about the art of coaching, it's right on the table over there. He does some great seminars. He's a very vibrant speaker. He's just salt of the earth. And when we were chatting the other day, he said, it's a good example of, you wake up every morning and you're married, so you say, well, I must be a good husband, right? And I'm like, that's perfect. We need to do a self-check every now and then. And so talk to your colleagues, spend time with your peers, check yourself periodically just to kind of say, am I doing the best that I can? Am I doing the best job that I can for the clients that I see? What could I do a little bit better? What could I learn from? Things like that I think are really important elements for us to be successful with applying some of these things, but also then being even better to get better in our careers moving forward. Nice meeting you all. Meant a lot to me. So have a fabulous afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and till we meet again.